Alright, so welcome back to another video lesson. For this particular video, I want to briefly look at what is virtualization. I know it's a concept that is not new to most persons, and we are living in a time where we talk about virtualization a lot, maybe from a gaming perspective where we talk about virtual reality. But for this particular video, we want to look at virtualization from the standpoint where we can create what we call virtual machines. All right. So simply put, virtualization is the process of running virtual instance of a computer system. Meaning, virtualization gives us a way in which we can run multiple operating systems on our computer or our computer system. All right. Now, the reason why we would probably want to create virtual machines or carry out this virtualization process is so that we can run applications that are not meant for our existing operating system. So let's say, for example, you're running a Windows operating system, Windows 10 or Windows 11, but you want to use software that is meant for Linux, right? You could use a virtual or a virtualization software to create virtual machines, right? So with virtualization, we should notice a few things: that we will have our existing hardware, right? And your hardware will be running a particular operating system. Now, you can use a software that is referred to as an hypervisor to run other instances or other types of operating systems. As with the example that I gave you, let's say you're already running Windows 11 and you want to run now a Linux operating system, then virtualization can allow us to achieve this. Now, we should be very careful in not confusing virtualization and partitioning. Right? So you can partition your hard drive, but that is not the same as virtualization. So partition and virtualization are two different things. Right? Now, I would have mentioned the hypervisor, which is a software that will allow you to run multiple different operating systems on your computer at the same time. Now, the question is, what is a hypervisor? All right. And I would have explained it just now that it allows you to run multiple operating systems on your computer. All right. So in short, we can say that an hypervisor is a program for creating and running what we call virtual machines. And as far as hypervisors go, there are two types. Your type 1 is also referred to as your native hypervisor or your bare metal hypervisor, which means that this hypervisor is run directly on top of your hardware. All right. And the second type is your type 2 hypervisor or your hosted hypervisor, which is run on top of the operating system that is already running on your hardware. All right. So that is your hosted or your type 2 hypervisor. Now, there are many different companies out there who create hypervisors or create the software that is needed to create virtual machines. And some popular choices are VirtualBox from Oracle. There's Parallels, which will allow you to run versions of Microsoft Windows on top of your Mac devices or your Mac computer. There is Microsoft Hyper-V, which in this video I'll show you how to set up Microsoft Hyper-V, and then in a video to follow we will actually use Hyper-V to create virtual machines. All right. There's also VMware, which I did a previous video with a VMware product known as VMware Workstation, which I installed Kali Linux on top of my Windows device. All right, so in that video I am running Kali Linux in my as my virtual machine. All right, another option is Citrix Hypervisor, which out of all of these is the one that is really commercial, meaning yes, VMware, you can have the paid product. VirtualBox, you can have the paid product as well, but there are also free to use options out there, whereas with Citrix you basically will have to pay to use. All right, now we would have mentioned using the hypervisor to create virtual machines. So the question is, what is a virtual machine? And simply put, it's just an instance of a computer which is not physical, hence virtual, running on top of your already physical computer system. So in this example here, I have my Windows 10 system, right? So I have a Windows 10 computer and I am running Ubuntu as a virtual instance. So the same hardware, which is a Windows 10 laptop, I am now able to run Ubuntu as a virtual machine. All right. Now, at this point, I just want to do a quick walkthrough in terms of how you can set up Hyper-V on your Windows computer. And yes, Hyper-V is from Microsoft, so it is for Windows. We can use other products on Windows, for example, as I mentioned, the VMware or the VirtualBox. But because Hyper-V comes pre-packaged with your Windows operating system, all we need to do is enable it and we are good to go in terms of creating virtual machines. All right, so let me just walk you through the process of enabling and setting up your Hyper-V. All right, now when you're setting up Hyper-V, let's say you want some instructions or some additional assistance when setting it up, you can always go to the Microsoft Docs and you will get the necessary information that you need. All right, so as stated here, Hyper-V lets you run multiple operating systems as virtual machines on Windows. All right, so in order to enable Hyper-V on your Windows device, what I normally do, the easiest way is just to search here for turn Windows features on or off. All right, and all I want to do now is to look for Hyper-V once the Windows feature option here is displayed to us. So I just want to look for Hyper-V, check that. I'm just going to expand this and ensure that Hyper-V management tools are checked as well, and also Hyper-V platform is checked. All right, now once that is done, I'll just click on OK, and it should install the necessary things that are needed to run Hyper-V on your Windows computer. All right, so once the process is completed in terms of the Hyper-V be enabled and installed on your computer, you will be asked to restart. So you can go ahead and do your restart, and what I'll do is in a follow-up video I'll show you how to utilize Hyper-V to create your virtual machines.